There's a mountain in Tibet that's killed every climber who tried to reach its peak. But here's the terrifying part. They didn't die from falling. They died from something else. Something that's still up there. Watching. Waiting. Mount Kailash. 22,000 feet of pure nightmare. Its black stone has never felt human footsteps at the summit. Not because it's impossible to climb, but because the mountain hunts, and it never misses. Locals report seeing shadows moving across the slopes at night. Climbers from decades ago, still trapped, still circling the peak. Their bodies were never found, but their spirits, they're still trying to escape, and they can't. The world's greatest mountaineer was offered $10 million to climb Kailash in 1985. He refused instantly. When asked why, he said something that still haunts investigators today. He said, "That mountain isn't empty." In a classified interview, Messner revealed what he really saw through his telescope. Quote, "I watched figures moving on Kailash, but there were no expeditions up there. No one. Those figures, they weren't human." 4 religions call this mountain sacred, but there's a legend they don't tell tourists. They say Kailash isn't just a mountain, it's a sealed prison, and whatever's locked inside has been trying to break free for thousands of years. When darkness falls on Kailash, the temperature drops 40 degrees in minutes. Animals flee. Birds refuse to fly over it. Tibetan monks say this is when the mountain wakes up. This is when it feeds. These warning signs are riddled with bullet holes. Desperate climbers tried to destroy them. Every single one disappeared within 48 hours. Their camps were found empty. Tents ripped open from the inside. No bodies, just scry, aiming on their final radio calls. 1999. The year 4 American scientists broke the climbing ban. They had cutting-edge equipment, satellite tracking, emergency extraction plans. None of it saved them. What happened next is still classified, but the footage leaked. 4 geologists crossed into the forbidden zone with enough supplies for 3 weeks. They were experienced, trained, prepared for anything, except this. By day 7, only 2 were still sane. By day 9, they were all gone. They set up camp 11 miles from Kailash, far enough to be safe, or so they thought. What they didn't know is that distance means nothing on this mountain. It can reach you anywhere, and it did. First 48 hours, everything was normal. Dr. Hendricks even joked in his audio log, "Easiest expedition ever." That recording was timestamped 2:14 p.m. By 3:17 a.m. the next morning, his screaming would wake the entire camp. Night 3. The wind stopped. Complete silence. Even their breathing seemed too loud. Then at exactly 3:17 a.m., all 4 scientists woke simultaneously. Something was walking through their camp, something heavy, something that shouldn't exist. Hendricks' watch alarm woke him at 3:17, but he didn't set an alarm. His watch wasn't even set to alarm mode. Something triggered it, and that's when he heard the footsteps. Slow, deliberate, circling his tent like a predator. The footsteps circled once, twice, 3 times, each circle getting closer, tighter. He could see the shadow through his tent fabric, impossibly tall, impossibly thin, and then it stopped, right at his entrance, and knocked 3 times. Hendricks grabbed his knife and flashlight, his hands shaking so badly he could barely grip them. He slowly unzipped the tent, expecting to see a face. What he saw was somehow worse. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just fresh snow. And the mountain watching. No footprints, no disturbance in the snow, but he heard them. They were real. And then his flashlight beam hit Mount Kailash. For just a moment in the moonlight, the shadows on its face looked like eyes. Massive eyes, staring directly at him. In his recovered audio log, Hendricks whispered, "It's not a mountain, it's alive. I can feel it looking at me, not at the camp, at me specifically. It knows my name. Oh God, it knows my name." His journal entry from that night was almost illegible. Written in shaking handwriting, one sentence repeated 18 times. "We are not alone. We are not alone. We are not alone." The ink was mixed with blood, his blood. Dawn came. Their Tibetan guide was packing frantically, muttering prayers, refusing to make eye contact. When Dr. Corwin grabbed his arm, he finally looked at her. His eyes were bloodshot, pupils blown wide. He'd seen something that broke him. The guide ran, didn't take payment, didn't take food, just ran 11 miles through freezing temperatures. Villagers later said he never spoke again. He just sat in his home, rocking back and forth, staring west toward the mountain, terrified. Before vanishing into the pass, the guide turned one last time. His weathered face was white as snow, his lips trembling. He spoke 4 words that would haunt them forever. The mountain takes souls. Not bodies, souls. Day 5, every compass went haywire, spinning continuously, never stopping. But here's what terrified them. The needles weren't just spinning randomly, they were all pointing at the same thing. All 4 compasses, all pointing directly at Mount Kailash. Then every watch stopped, simultaneously, all showing 444. In Chinese culture, 4 means death. 444 means certain death, triple death. The mountain was sending a message, and they finally understood. They were marked, they were hunted, they were dead. Dr. Corwin noticed the shadows were wrong. They moved independently, pointing in impossible directions. She filmed it, but playback showed normal shadows. The mountain was manipulating reality itself, showing them one thing, recording another, playing with their sanity. That night, all 4 had identical nightmares. Impossible unless something was projecting into their minds. They descended endless stone stairs carved into the earth, going down, always down, towards something ancient, something hungry, something with their names on its lips. At the bottom, in absolute darkness, something waited. They couldn't see it, but they felt it. Massive, ancient, patient, and it spoke to them, not in words, but directly into their souls. Welcome home. We've been waiting. Forever. Dr. Corwin woke screaming, but her teammates said it wasn't her scream. The voice was different, deeper, older. She clawed at her sleeping bag, sobbing, repeating, "It touched me inside the dream. I felt its hand. It's still touching me." Through her tent opening, Corwin saw it, standing at the edge of camp, 8 feet tall, impossibly thin, wrapped in rotting cloth. No face, no features, but she knew it was looking at her, and worse, it was smiling. Somehow, it was smiling. Morning revealed the truth. Footprints in fresh snow, barefoot, human-shaped but wrong. The feet were 12 inches long, toes spread like claws, in sub-zero temperatures. Forensics later said the prints showed no heat signature. Whatever made them was already dead. The final print stopped inches from Hendricks' tent, exactly where he heard the knocking, but no prints leading away, nothing. It was still there, still standing there, invisible, and in the tent's fabric they found some eating, 3 claw marks, from the inside. Hendricks made a decision that sealed their fate. They would approach Kailash directly. His team begged him not to, but he couldn't stop. Later he'd write, "I wasn't walking, I was being pulled, like hooks in my chest, dragging me forward. Every step closer felt like drowning, air thickening like concrete, vision blurring. One scientist collapsed, bleeding from his eyes, but they couldn't stop, couldn't turn back. The mountain had them now, and it was reeling them in, slowly, deliberately. The rock face was covered in symbols, thousands of them, some ancient, some fresh, still sharp, still bleeding. Yes, bleeding. The carvings were bleeding, thick black liquid running down the stone. And the symbols. They were names, names of the missing. Dr. Corwin photographed everything, but her camera showed blank rock. Every photo, empty stone, until the last one. The last photo showed something, a face, massive, ancient, made of shadows, and it was looking directly at the camera, at her. Then they heard it. Voices from inside the mountain, not wind, not geological activity, human voices, hundreds of them, thousands, all chanting in unison, ancient languages, dead tongues, and they were chanting coordinates, the coordinates of the camp. Hendricks pressed his ear to the rock. The voices became clear. They were calling names, his team's names, his name, and then he understood. These weren't just voices. These were the missing climbers, all of them, trapped inside, forever, calling for others to join them. When he pulled back, blood exploded from his nose, ears, eyes. The pressure inside the mountain ruptured every blood vessel in his head. But worse than the pain was what he heard in his final second against the rock. "Welcome, Paul. You're home now." They ran, blind panic, abandoning everything. But as they fled, each felt invisible hands grabbing their backs, their necks, their ankles, trying to pull them back, trying to drag them into the mountain. One scientist was pulled backward 3 feet before breaking free. Dr. Corwin couldn't keep up. Her legs refused to move. She described it as invisible hands gripping her ankles, pulling backward, and she heard whispers in her ears. Loving, gentle, almost seductive. Stop running. Come back. You belong here, with us, forever. Hendricks looked down and his mind broke. Corwin's shadow was facing the wrong direction. Toward the mountain, moving on its own, waving. Her shadow was waving at the mountain, and something on Kailash was waving back. Something massive, something that had her shadow's face. That night, Corwin sat motionless, eyes open, not blinking, not breathing normally. Her teammates checked her pulse. It was 30 beats per minute, hypothermic levels, but she wasn't cold. She was somewhere else, somewhere deep inside the mountain, listening to the voices. At 3:17 a.m., Corwin laughed. But it wasn't her laugh. It was dozens of laughs, overlapping, different pitches, different ages, men, women, children, all laughing through her mouth. Her jaw unhinged. Her eyes rolled back. Something else was wearing her now. Emergency extraction came 48 hours later. The pilot reported his instruments went haywire during approach. His co-pilot swears he saw figures on impossible cliff faces, hundreds of them, all watching, all waving. The helicopter barely made it out. One engine failed mid-flight. Hendricks's final journal entry was sealed and marked classified. It surfaced years later on a dark web forum. One sentence, written in perfect handwriting, too perfect, as if someone else guided his hand. Kailash is the door, we almost opened it. Dr. Corwin spent 3 years institutionalized, catatonic. But every night at 3:17 a.m. she'd wake, walk to the window and stare west. Staff said her lips moved for hours. When they finally read her lips, they almost quit. She was reciting names, names of future victims. They're still calling, they're still calling, they're still calling, for hours, every night, until her voice shredded. Medication didn't work. Sedation didn't work. Because she wasn't crazy, she was marked. The mountain had claimed her soul, and it was calling her home. Mount Kailash stands unclimbed, not by law, by something ancient. Locals say on quiet nights you can hear them, the voices, thousands of souls trapped inside, calling, always calling, and now that you've heard this story, you're on the list. Sweet dreams.